Close your eyes and imagine a time of grand palaces, shimmering candlelight, and the echoes of sweet melodies drifting through the air. In the heart of this magnificent empire, a love story was born, a love so deep, so powerful, that it shook the very foundations of a kingdom. Tonight, let me take you back to the Mughal era, where a handsome prince and a beautiful dancer met under the stars, unaware that their love would become a legend. This is the story of 𝗟𝗃 and 𝗟ន់, a tale of passion, sacrifice, and a love that defied an empire. In the heart of the great Mughal Empire, within the mighty walls of Fatehpur Sikri, a prince was born, his name 𝗟𝗃, the only son of the powerful Emperor Akbar. He was destined to be a ruler, a warrior, a king. But 𝗟𝗃 was not just a prince of war and politics. Though he trained in the ways of battle, his soul found true peace in music, poetry, and the arts. While swords clashed outside the palace, his heart danced to the soft melodies of the court musicians and the hypnotic rhythm of the dancers. And then, one evening, his world changed forever. The grand hall of the Mughal palace shimmered with golden lanterns, their soft glow reflecting off the polished marble floors. The scent of rose and sandalwood filled the air as courtiers gathered for an evening of entertainment. 𝗟𝗃 sat on his royal seat, watching with mild interest as musicians played their flutes and venas. He had seen it all before. Nothing excited him anymore. And then she appeared. A dancer stepped onto the stage. Draped in flowing silk, her movements were like the gentle waves of a river. Smooth and effortless, she was unlike any performer he had ever seen. Her eyes, dark and deep, held a mystery he could not look away from. Her hands moved like poetry, telling a story with each delicate gesture. And when she smiled, it was as if the moon itself had descended into the court. 𝗟𝗃 leaned forward, captivated. His heart, which had never truly belonged to anyone, now beat for her. And then their eyes met. For a brief moment, the world around them faded. It was just the two of them, in a silent conversation that needed no words. As days passed, 𝗟𝗃 found himself longing to see her again. He could not explain it. Was it love? Or was it the mystery of her soul that called to him? One evening, in the cool embrace of the royal gardens, 𝗟𝗃 found her standing near a fountain. Lost in thought, he approached, his voice softer than she had imagined. "Your dance," he hesitated. "It is not just movement, it speaks." 𝗟𝗃 smiled, lowering her gaze with a hint of sadness in her eyes. "A dance is only as beautiful as the one who watches it, my prince." 𝗟𝗃 took a step closer. "Then you must dance only for me." Her heart raced. She knew the danger of such words. A prince and a mere dancer, their love was not meant to be. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw not a prince, not the future emperor, but a man who longed for something real. And so, their secret meetings began, in hidden corners of the palace, beneath the soft glow of lanterns. They spoke of dreams, of love, of a future that could never be. The moment Emperor Akbar discovered their secret, the palace was thrown into turmoil. The emperor, who had built one of the strongest empires in history, could not tolerate this defiance. His son, his heir, had dared to fall in love with a mere court dancer. 𝗟𝗃 was summoned to the royal court, where the emperor sat in his golden throne, his eyes cold with disappointment. "You are the future of the Mughal Empire," Akbar declared, "and yet you have disgraced this throne by falling for a woman who is beneath you." 𝗟𝗃 stood tall, his voice unwavering. "Love knows no status, no empire, no rules, father. 𝗟𝗃 is not just a dancer. She is the light of my soul." Akbar's hands clenched the armrests of his throne. "Enough, you will forget her. You will marry a woman of noble birth and take your place as the future emperor." But 𝗟𝗃, for the first time in his life, refused to obey his father. "I would rather give up the throne than give up 𝗟𝗃." Silence filled the court. The noblemen and courtiers held their breath. No one had ever defied the great Akbar before. And so, the emperor made his decision. If you will not end this foolishness, I will end it for you." That very night, 𝗟𝗃 was taken from her chambers. The guards dragged her through the cold stone corridors of the palace, her heart pounding with fear. She knew this day would come, yet she had never imagined it would be so soon. "Where are you taking me?" she pleaded, her voice shaking. But there was no answer. 𝗟𝗵 searched for her, his heart racing, his anger uncontrollable. When he finally learned what happened, he stormed into the emperor's chamber. "Where is she?" he demanded, his voice filled with fury. Akbar remained calm, his face unreadable. "She is where she belongs, far away from you." 𝗟𝗵's hands clenched into fists. "Then I will fight for her." The emperor stood. "You would raise your sword against your own father, against the empire." 𝗟𝗵's eyes burned with defiance. "I would fight the entire world for her." And so, the battle began. 𝗟𝗵 gathered his loyal soldiers, the men who had sworn their lives to him. He marched toward the royal palace gates, his sword gleaming under the moonlight. He was not just a prince fighting for love. He was a man willing to risk everything. As he neared the palace, he saw the emperor's army waiting for him. Thousands of men, trained and ready to strike. But 𝗟𝗵 did not hesitate. "𝗟𝗃 is innocent," he shouted. "She has done nothing but love me. If you must punish someone, punish me." But the emperor remained unmoved. "You will learn, my son, that a ruler must make sacrifices." And then the battle began. Swords clashed, arrows flew through the air, and the sound of war filled the night. 𝗟𝗵 fought like a warrior possessed. His heart fueled his strength, his love for 𝗟𝗃 guiding every move. But even a brave prince cannot fight an entire empire alone. One by one, his men fell, and soon he was outnumbered. As he fell to his knees, wounded and exhausted, the guards seized him. He was dragged through the halls of the palace, his body weak but his spirit unbroken. And then he saw her, 𝗟𝗃, standing in chains, her eyes filled with unshed tears. "𝗟𝗵," she gasped, struggling against the guards. He tried to move toward her, but the chains held him back. "Forgive me, my love," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I never wanted this. I will never let them take you away from me." He swore, his voice breaking. But fate had already decided their end. Kneeling before Akbar, she did not beg for mercy. Instead, she made a request. "If someone must die for this love, let it be me." Akbar studied her, his voice deep and unreadable. "You are willing to give up your life for my son?" 𝗟𝗃 nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "If it means he will live, then yes. A prince should not die for a dancer." The emperor sighed. "So be it." But before she was taken away, she had one final wish. "Grant me one last night with him. Just one night where we can forget the pain, forget the world, and live as two lovers, even if only for a few hours." The emperor was silent, then finally nodded. "One night." Last night of love. That evening, 𝗟𝗃 entered 𝗟𝗵's chamber, his eyes widened in shock. "𝗟𝗃." She ran to him, her hands trembling as she touched his face. "𝗟𝗵." He pulled her into his arms, holding her as if she might disappear at any moment. "They told me you were gone, that I would never see you again." She pressed a hand to his lips. "SHH, don't speak of sorrow tonight. Just for tonight, let's forget." They laughed, remembering their first meeting. 𝗟𝗵 brushed his fingers against her cheek, memorizing every detail of her face. She traced the lines of his hands, as if etching them into her heart. And then, beneath the soft glow of lanterns, they danced, just like the first time. As the night deepened, 𝗟𝗃 knew her time was running out. She reached for a pomegranate blossom, a flower known for its gentle sedative effect. "Drink this," she said softly. "What is this?" "A token of my love. Tonight I want you to sleep without sorrow." 𝗟𝗵 trusted her completely and drank. Within moments, his eyelids grew heavy. She held him tightly, whispering, "I love you in this life and beyond." Then, with a heavy heart, she stepped into the darkness. The end, or just the beginning. Some say 𝗟𝗃 was buried alive behind the stone walls of the palace, that her soft cries still linger in the corridors at night. Others whisper that a secret passage allowed her to escape, far away from the empire, where she lived a quiet life, forever longing for the love she left behind. But one thing remains certain. Salim never loved another, even when he became Emperor Jahangir. Even when time moved forward, his heart remained in the past. Each night, he stood by his window, gazing at the moon. "I will find you again," he whispered, "even if it takes 1,000 lifetimes." And somewhere in the winds of time, her voice would answer, "I will be waiting." Now, as you close your eyes and drift into sleep, remember, love is eternal. It transcends time, status, and even fate. Perhaps, in another life, Salim and 𝗟عني found each other again. And perhaps, just perhaps, their love story continues even now. Good night and sweet dreams. Thank you for watching. If you like this story, do like it and share with your friends, and subscribe my channel for more interesting stories.